Are you running Google Ads? Have you optimized those campaigns for this summer? If you haven't, or if you're not sure, then you're going to love this episode of T.E.A Talks, as we're going to give you 5 ways that you can optimize and maximize the profitability of your Google Ad campaigns this very summer. Let's get into it. All right, Colin, we've got a great topic here today. 5 ways to optimize our Google Ads campaigns. 5 things we are actively doing right now, preparing for summer. We've already done a lot of it, but getting everything ready for all of our client campaigns. Thought this would be a really good T Talk to get into. Firstly, how are you doing? You well?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Good stuff. Yes, the weather is slowly starting to get nice, which is great. We've had too much rain over the last few weeks and months, so it's nice that the summer is just around the corner, which is very exciting.
Yes.
So, do you mind if I kick us off with this one?
Absolutely, go for it.
Right. So the first one that we do all the time is we always say to brands, you got to, before you start thinking about this year, or in order to start thinking about this year, think about last year.
Yes.
Go last year. Look at what worked last year, because everyone gets so carried away about, right, this summer, what are we doing, and this season, and this, that, and the other. But actually, take a minute, look at last year's data. What worked? What didn't? What were the best performing campaigns? What were the most profitable products or services? Like, what really worked? And the big things we get all of our clients to really work with us and to look at is, what did we spend last year and what was the return? So overall, commercially, what was the performance? So overall, across whatever you deem as your summer period or your peak period, what did you invest? What was the return? And then this year, what do you need to do? Are we looking to do the same? Are we looking to grow by 10%, 20%? Like, what are we looking to achieve commercially year on year? And then breaking that down a little bit further and actually looking at, okay, well, within those campaigns, within that account performance, what worked? Were there certain product lines? Were there certain service lines that really, really worked? And that will give you a steer in terms of, and a lot of brands will know this. They'll go, oh, well, we know every summer this sells like really, really well. Mm-hmm. But use your data to really confirm that and look within the campaigns, what types of campaigns, how were they set up? And then, I mean, you get into the way we set up our campaigns, they are evergreen, so we can ignite those campaigns year after year. It's one of the ways we work with the clients. But my top tip, my number one thing before we even start thinking about this summer, go and look at last year.
Yes, and on this one, I would very quickly interject one very important thing. Do not get or feel disheartened when you see that certain numbers, like spend numbers, are not going to be necessarily stacking up for this year, because with everything that's happening in the world, prices going up, Google and other advertising platforms are also bumping the prices up, which means that what you have spent last year will probably not be enough for this year.
But it's at least going to give you a good benchmark, and it's going to give you a good steer on where you were last year and where you need to be this year. And equally, it will show you very early on, are we being overly ambitious? Are we being unrealistic with what's achieved? Are we expecting a much higher return, but actually we've only allocated the same or less budget? Those kind of things. So it's just, they're the sort of things to be super mindful of, yeah?
Exactly.
What's next?
Yes.
What do you think?
So I would say, and then update your creative. So make sure that all the images, all the videos, if you can be actually geared up towards that summer period. So if you have got a nice set of garden furniture that you sell, for example, you can then just stage it, add some greenery into it, just make sure that it looks summery, looks the part. Because essentially all the lifestyle creatives needs to be very seasonal, and whatever you do, just make sure that you are conveying that season.
It's so simple, so obvious, and yet how many times do we look at shopping fees, do we look at product fees, do we look at asset groups, and it's very bland. Great product, but it'll be shot on a white background or a generic, and there's no seasonal look and feel to it. No. It doesn't scream summer. And if you want to capitalize and maximize those returns, that return on your ad spend, you've got to tap into the psychology of where that person is when they're searching. They're thinking, I need to carry on your point, some garden furniture, and I want my garden to look amazing this summer. Give them what they want. Paint that picture for them, because frankly, your average user, they haven't got that much imagination, they can't really, or time, but a lot of people kind of need you to spell it out for them, basically.
Yes, and exactly that, yes. People do quite like to have things done for them, and this is the reason why they're actually going for your product. So I would say just make sure that your creative are poppy, they just make people feel something, the excitement for the summer, excitement for the season.
Relevance.
It is relevant.
It's all relevant.
Yes,
It's
it
all
always
relevant.
is relevant.
It's just about make your image and make all your creative relevant. Super relevant for the season. And that carries through for the summer, and then you get into all of the seasons and the occasions throughout the year. Make your imagery super relevant and take the time to make it really pop. Because really good creative is one of the key ways we're making a commercial difference to our clients, is we're really going to town with the creative.
Yes.
Still, motion graphics, the video, that whole suite,
Exactly
really
that.
take the time to take it to the next level.
And especially on that point, what I would be very tempted to always do is just see what your competition is doing. Because first of all, you really want to know where you are against them, but also how you can beat them.
Yeah. I'll tell you the third way, then you can optimize your accounts for summer, is in the titles and descriptions.
I love that.
Now, this is an interesting one, this one, because a lot of people think, well, I've got my whether your product's your service based, but I think, well, my ads, I've got my titles. My ads are written. You know, if I've got a shopping feed, if I'm e-commerce, I've got my product titles. They're written. They describe the product. We've got those descriptions in place. Actually going and refreshing those and making sure that they just have little subtleties that include references to maybe, spring, summer, 2024 or whatever it is, or they have the little mentions of the why and how someone might use or buy the product. Again, it's going back to that psychology of thinking, if someone's buying the product, and it's going to vary business to business, brand to brand in terms of the type of product, but just thinking about the type of product you're selling and the why someone might be needing it, or the purpose of the product, or how they are going to use the product, and try and think, can I tap that in to be super relevant for the summer within my title descriptions? It might not be relevant. There'll be some people watching this that that wouldn't work for, but there'll be others, when you actually sit and think about it, it is really relevant, and it can make a massive difference, because it goes from being just a generic product title that is maybe the same as everyone else, to suddenly, when you look at your product or your ad versus everyone else's, yours is so much more descriptive and timely, and again relevant based on what that user is searching for and how where their mind's at in terms of what they're looking for at that exact moment.
And it's fantastic, because essentially that really will make sure, it will really take that mediocrity out of your ads, which really brings me to another point, which is essentially optimizing all your Performance Max assets. So obviously we now have got all these creatives created, right? We've got our headlines and descriptions rewritten. We know exactly what we want to say, and there is that Performance Max that someone set for you, a set and forget kind of thing. And then suddenly you just look into it and it doesn't really stack up against the other ones. So what you have to do is always make sure that your Performance Max really sings. So also, change your headlines and rewrite them if you have to. Look at your descriptions, look at your longer headlines, because in Performance Max, this is one of the assets that really is important but underused. And then look at the creatives you've got within your campaign. So just make sure that it's all relevant, and it tells a story as well, because I think one of the things that we always see, right, is that an image that goes along with a headline and a description really brings that proper, it really gives that value of storytelling almost.
Yeah, and I think, and the other thing to add into the Performance Max is to actually build out the assets. We've said it so many times, but don't just put in the minimum. Don't just look at what's the minimum requirement in terms of assets, like titles and descriptions and images. Build it out. Take the time. Put some videos in there. Take the time to create, because the more assets you give Performance Max, with all other things equal, as long as you've well optimized the account, it's going to perform better, because you're giving the machine more of what it needs to play with. So build out, make those assets super relevant and timely, but also build them out. I'll tell you the last one that I want to go through is, and again, this is really obvious, but often overlooked or not focused on, which is you focus so much of your time on the ads. What about the landing page? What about the website? So once they've clicked, once you've spent the money to get that click, you're sending them to a website. Make sure you're then consistent with your messaging and your visuals and your creative and your calls to action on the website. Don't make it difficult for people to find. Don't go from a great summer inspiring campaign to then a generic, website or landing page or product page or category page that just doesn't really say what it needs to do. Really take the time to get the website great. It doesn't take that much effort.
No, it doesn't.
You can just create some new banners, visuals, maybe look at the product imagery, lead in with the most popular summer products, etc., but just actually take the time, with so much of the focus being on the ad account and how to optimize it and what we need to create. Just bear some time to actually go, and what are we doing on the actual website? And because from the ads, whether they're whatever type of ads you're running, product ads, image ads, whatever, when they click onto the website, have we got a consistency in theme, in call to action, in creative, in look and feel onto that? Super simple, but we've seen it before, very often overlooked or minimal effort put in. Oh, well, I've updated 2 images on the homepage, surely that will do. Once you go beyond the homepage, suddenly there's no other summer, related imagery or messaging at all, and you're like, this is just, it's like you put a great sign on the front door and you walk in and then nothing else is there.
Yeah, and I think it's a timely reminder that actually ads are to generate interest. Now, website or your landing page is the place where it converts. And I think, and I think for both of us, it's very important. We are so passionate about it because we both come from the web design background, which means that actually, our journey, which is quite interesting, went from web design all the way to understanding actually how to bring people to that web page and make it convert. So and I think over and over again we are seeing horribly dismal web pages that will never convert, and the amount of money people are actually spending on ads, and then they are not converting, and the question is, why are we not selling more?
And there's some of these are really established businesses. They're just like, look, we're spending 20 grand a month on ads and it's just not working. And we look at it, we go, because in this case, have you looked at the website? It's just not, it's not doing its job. It's not selling what you're that you're paying a premium to get those ads to click through to. So there are 5 ways to optimize the account. We love our T.E A Talks viewers, so why don't we chuck them in a couple of Brucey bonuses?
Yes, indeed.
Do you want to kick us off with the first one?
Well, yes, videos. If possible, if you can just...
Darren's going to be so happy you've got videos mentioned in again.
I mean, I've been in his bad books for such a long time. Yes, lifestyle videos are absolutely fantastic. And again, it's about how you're going to make your audience feel, because people are very much, people are emotional creatures, aren't they? So whatever lifestyle video you put out there, just make sure that you are giving them that nice warm glow that, summer is coming, show them that nice garden, show them that nice little barbecue area, just showcase your barbecue that you are selling in the nice setting, just stage it if you have to.
And Darren and I did another T.E A Talk, which should be out before this one, on exactly this topic of how you can do location-based shoots.
Yes.
On a budget, without that high production, sort of requirement that often brands think, video, that's going to be scary. And video, as you say, is great because you can feed that into your Performance Max campaigns. You can feed that, you can run standalone video campaigns, put them up on YouTube, do some retargeting into those. It's another touch point, and it's leaning into what Google was wanting anyway.
Exactly.
So it just works.
Exactly that.
It just works. So I'll give you another one, which is adding in summer related search terms if you're running search ad campaigns. So what I mean by this is, again, it depends massively on the product and the category and what you're selling. But this can potentially work, is if people are buying your product or your service for a specific occasion or use case that is particularly relevant to the summer. So it might be, let's say it's garden summer parties, or it's, a garden, whatever, and events or parties or barbecues or anything where something is particularly relevant to the summer. And so they might be buying this product or this service because they have a need or a requirement. If you can add those search terms into the search terms you're bidding on. So not only is it product plus use case, or product plus type of occasion or whatever. And that, it doesn't work for everyone, but in certain use cases, that can be hugely powerful because you're opening up an entire new thought process that the customer might be going through. So they might be thinking, I need X for Y.
Yes.
And by you bidding on those, you're not only going to get the people, you're actually going to get more qualified and targeted traffic, because you're going to be going after people that are looking for the product because they have this use case. And that can be very, very impactful. And we've seen it, and that's a way that we've done it a few times, and we're definitely going to do it again this summer for some of those campaigns where, a lot of ours are home and garden brands. So it works particularly well for those guys when they're thinking, right, well, we know, a lot of brands will know that we're going to see an increase in selling X product over the summer anyway. Great. You could get even more sales if you capitalized and said, well, why are they buying? Just ask yourself why. Why are they buying that product? Oh, well, they're buying it for this reason. Okay, great. Well, have we got the search terms that we're going, not just bidding on for the product, but for the reason they're buying the product?
And the beauty of it is
hugely powerful.
Incredibly. And the beauty of it is that actually it's a gift that keeps on giving, because you set it this year, then you can pause it for the autumn and then switch it back on next year again.
And well, there you're getting into the whole evergreen campaign funnel idea that we have, and we bake into all of our client campaigns, which saves huge amounts of time, means we always leverage is the key word in business, we leverage the learnings year on year, and it's how we're able to set up beautiful campaigns for this summer that are going to take all of the best bits from last summer, and then we'll learn even more from this year, and we just improve that performance year after year. And that is the magic you get when you work with Evergreen. But for now, I think we've covered it. We've given you not just 5 ways to optimize your Google Ad accounts, but we've actually given you a couple of Brucey bonuses. What else do you think? What other ways do you think you can optimize your Google Ad accounts for this summer? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to know, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.
Bye for now.